From the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C.
It is my pleasure to be here to introduce Michael Buckley. Michael Buckley started his career actually out of college dabbling in journalism, believe it or not, and then he got wise and decided to move on and see if he could find a more promising field. So he became a pasta maker. That didn't work out for him, so he decided to flip burgers, still better than journalism. So then he tried stand-up, and he even sang in a punk band. Maybe he'll do us a rendition. Anyway, eventually he ended up on television, and he worked on a number of kids' shows. Luckily for all of us, he never forgot how much he really liked to write, or at least how good he was at it, whether he liked it or not. And he is now, as you know, the author of one of the great book series there is for kids, the Sisters Grimm, in which the characters, yes, you all know, much applause, in which the fairy tales that we all know come to life. His best-selling series has won many awards, and he has gone on to write the N.E.R.D.S books, which I'm sure there are fans in the audience too. So because I can tell you're excited, you don't need to hear me anymore, I am very happy to introduce Michael Buckley.
Hey, how are you? Are you guys ready to rock? I'm not really quite ready to rock yet, but maybe later. Thank you so much for the great introduction. I'm very happy to be here. This is a big thrill and a treat for me. I write a couple different children's book series, like she said. One is called the Sisters Grimm, and another one is called N.E.R.D.S. And I thought I would tell you a little bit about them, but first I thought I might tell you about how I became an author. It is a very exciting story. It involves ninjas. It doesn't involve ninjas, I'm sorry. That was a lie. I was born in a little town in Ohio called Akron. Many of you, yes, the most boring place in the world. The only exciting thing that ever happened there is we invented the zipper. That was a big day. We also have a race there called the Soapbox Derby. This is a race where we put a small child in a box and shove him down a hill. So Akron is fun on that day. Now, when I was a kid, I was really influenced by stand-up comedians. My older brother, Jeff, was a complete degenerate, and he would wake me up in the middle of the night to watch Saturday Night Live. I was 6. I did not understand it at all. And he would force me to listen to his comedy albums. I grew up listening to people like Woody Allen and Steve Martin, who is still one of my favorites. And when I got to the age of 16, I decided I wanted to be a stand-up comedian too. So I went to all of the comedy clubs in Akron, which was one. And I said, I want to be a comedian. And they said, you have to be 18 to be a comedian. And I said, I'm 18. And they believed it because it was Akron. Now, I get to tour all over the country. I performed with some pretty famous comics. There's a guy named Jon Stewart on a show called The Daily Show. Yes. I performed with a guy named Dane Cook and another guy from Ohio named Dave Chappelle. None of the children should know who that is. While I was doing that, I went to school. I went to a college in southern Ohio called Ohio University. If you know football, you know Ohio State University. If you know competitive checkers, you know Ohio University. I didn't realize what she was doing. Okay, that's very cool, too. What if I just talk to you and see what comes out of your hands? That's very good. Now, when I graduated from college, I went to a little place called New York City, and I was an intern on a show called The Late Show with David Letterman. I got to meet all kinds of famous people, very glamorous people, but my job on the show was not glamorous. I had to take care of David Letterman's clinically insane golden retriever. He had a big, fat, yellow, hairy meatball of rage that would attack me all the time. But if that dog wasn't murdering me, they would let me do something really cool. They would let me write a joke. Now, I had written my own jokes for much smaller audiences, but The Late Show has about 10 million people watching it every night, so this was a really big deal for me. And I would tell that joke, or I would write that joke on a piece of paper, and I'd hand it to Dave, and then I'd go hide behind the curtain and look at the audience like some kind of weirdo. And every once in a while, one of my jokes would get a huge laugh. And I often tell kids the best way I can describe how that felt was it felt like I had a superpower. Because I had written a few words on a piece of paper, and it had caused such a reaction. And I wondered if I could get people to feel other things with words, like maybe I could make them happy or sad or angry or want to move out of Akron. So that's kind of how I got started as a writer. I was lucky enough to get some very decent jobs right off the bat. I worked for a channel called Discovery Channel. This is the channel where people are constantly being attacked by sharks. I did a couple documentaries for them. One was about the Mole People, who were a group of people who live in the New York City subway system. And I did another documentary about sideshow performers. And these are people who swallow swords and eat fire and put scorpions in their mouths. Awesome. So I got to hang out with people who were completely covered in tattoos, and I met a person who eats fire, and I hung out with a bearded lady. She had a beard down to here, and we dated. I'm kidding. She wouldn't go out with me. But I'm okay now. After a while, I went to work for a channel called MTV. That's probably what the kids know as the educational channel. I went to work for a channel called VH1 for a little bit, and I did some work for a channel called Nickelodeon. Yes, my people. And then I came up with this idea for a little book called The Sisters Grimm. And I want to tell you a little bit about it. It's about these two girls who move to a town where everyone is a fairy tale character. Prince Charming is the mayor. The three little pigs run the police department. And the big bad wolf is a yoga instructor. And the girls take on the family business, which is being a detective. They discover that their great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, Jacob Grimm, and his brother Wilhelm weren't writing fairy tales. They were writing case files for their detective work. And so the girls kind of take on this family business. What I love about writing this series is that you never know who's going to be a good guy or a bad guy. Like, for instance, in book 3, the girls take on the most diabolical and evil fairy tale character of all time. Of course, I'm talking about Little Red Riding Hood. She's terribly evil and super scary. I'm also writing another series, and that's kind of why I was invited here. It's a series called N.E.R.D.S. Thank you. N.E.R.D.S. N.E.R.D.S is an acronym. It stands for the National Espionage, Rescue, and Defense Society. And it takes place here in Arlington, Virginia. It's about a bunch of very nerdy fifth graders who happen to be secret agents. And their nerdy qualities have been enhanced by science, and they're basically turned into superpowers. One of the kids has the worst set of braces you have ever seen. They like wrap around his head like an erector set. And but he can manipulate them like a transformer. So if he needs a car comes out of his mouth. But it is still attached to his teeth. I think that's funny. There's a kid who has eaten so much paste he can stick to walls. And there's a little girl there who's inspired by my wife who has asthma. Anybody here have asthma? Few of you, yes? Well, my wife has this thing called an inhaler, and she uses this to make herself feel better. She takes puts it in her mouth and pulls the plunger, and this medicine goes down into her lungs. And every time I heard her use it, it always sounded like a little rocket to me. So I created this character. They call her Weezer. And Weezer has 2 inhalers that allow her to fly. She's sort of like a gasping Iron Man kind of thing. So, and there's a bunch of other kids in the team. The second book just came out. It is called M is for Mama's Boy. The villain is a 37-year-old man who lives in his mom's basement, which is scarier than it sounds. And one of the things I love to do when I travel around the country and I go to schools and I come to conventions like this, I just love to tell kids how much I love my job. Like, being a writer is like the best job ever. And I know because I worked at Taco Bell. And that is not the best job ever. And I always try to convince kids to think of it as a career. I think that when a kid gets a book sometimes, it's hard for them to fathom that somebody actually sat down and wrote this, and there's a real person behind it. And I always try to encourage them to think of it as something they might want to do when they get older. Like I said, being a writer is like a blessing to me. There's so many people in the world that want to do that as a job, and I'm one of the lucky idiots that gets to do it for a living. And I want to thank all of you guys because every time you buy one of my books, you make it completely possible for me to just hang out in Starbucks all day. If it wasn't for you, I'd have to put pants on in the morning. Thank you so much. You are my inspiration. You're the wind beneath my wings. Thank you. That's what I wanted to be when I grew up. A guy who did not wear pants. And that's working out pretty good. So I know that MT took some questions. Maybe I could do the same. Has anybody got any questions? But I'm going to tell you, first of all, unless you're a really attractive kid, I don't want to hear from you. All right. Okay, you're really cute, so you can step right up.
What inspired you to make the Sisters Grimm?
Well, that's a very good question. People ask me that all the time. Why did I write the Sisters Grimm? Well, I'm going to tell you. I went to a bookstore, and I looked at all the books that are out there for kids, and I realized there's only like 2 kinds of books for kids. There's books for boys, where the boy goes to wizarding school, and he rides a dragon, and he fights a monster. And then there's books for girls, where they take care of a pony. Or they're dating a vampire. That is all there is. And I just looked at my nieces. My brother has some kids, these little girls, and they are so spunky and full of fun, and they're just so passionate. And I just thought, I don't know any girls that would take a pony over a dragon ride. And I thought it was about time that girls got a book that they got to save the world and do all the cool stuff that boys always get to do. Thank you. Well, don't applaud me just yet, because I wanted boys to read this, so I filled it full of boogers and all kinds of gross stuff. So, yeah, this isn't John Steinbeck, just me. Okay, over there. Oh, another really good-looking kid. Okay.
What's your favorite children's book that you didn't write?
They're all so terrible. Just most of them are just nonsense. No, I think the single biggest reason why I stand here today is a kid's book. When I was in the 4th grade, I was what they call a reluctant reader. Back then, they were called a pain in the butt. And a librarian dragged me aside, and she said, "Mr. Buckley, you're going to read a book today, and you're going to tell me everything you know about it at the end of the week." And she shoved a book into my hand, and it was called The Mouse and the Motorcycle. It's by Beverly Cleary. Yes, and like I had no idea that books were could be fun, because they would give us this book every year called The Yearling. A lovely, lovely book about a boy and his pet deer. I kept waiting for the deer to grow rockets or something, explode. It never happened. But so that was a very refreshing thing for me, because I had no idea that books could just be kind of, this is the highest compliment I can give Beverly Cleary. That book is pointless. And that is exactly what I wanted when I was a 9-year-old boy. Yeah. Yes. Oh, this is a very good-looking kid. Okay.
Who's your favorite Sisters Grimm character?
Who's my favorite Sisters Grimm character? It's a character that I didn't even want to write about at first. His name is Prince Charming. Now, the reason I like writing about Prince Charming, and like this character has been done to death. Most people just have killed him and made him boring. But I started to notice something about him. Like, Prince Charming was born to save women. He's supposed to get on a white horse and rescue girls. And what I like about him so much is that he's in love with somebody who does not want to be saved at all. She can do it herself. In fact, Snow White in the story, she's a self-defense teacher. She teaches old ladies how to fend off robbers. And she doesn't need to be rescued. And I just think it's so interesting to write this character who was really born to be something that the woman he loves doesn't want anymore. So he's sort of kind of walking around with absolutely no idea what he's supposed to do with his life. Yeah. So that's my favorite character to write. Yeah. How about you? A very handsome kid. Yes.
I have 2 questions. Number 1, what inspired you for N.E.R.D.S?
Well, N.E.R.D.S, I went back to my 20th high school reunion. And this is an important thing for all the kids. Now, I went back and I hadn't seen some of my old friends in 20 years. And what I discovered was all the popular kids, the ones that I wanted to hang out with and I wanted to go to their parties, well, they were losers. But all of the nerds, the ones that were like complete oddballs that I wouldn't have been caught dead with, they were doing amazing stuff. I mean, they were running companies. They were traveling all over the world. A couple of them were married to supermodels. It was amazing. So I wanted to write a book that kind of lets the kids know that the world does a flip-flop. Eventually, you will be the coolest person in the room, even if you're the biggest nerd in the room right now. It all gets spinned around. Look at me. I was once very popular. Okay. Actually, maybe it doesn't work in my case. Yes.
Which one's your favorite Sisters Grimm?
My favorite Sisters Grimm book to write is that I wrote was number 5. It's Magic and Other Misdemeanors. And what I love about it so much is my favorite movie of all time is Back to the Future. And they play that on TBS. I'm watching it. I watch it every time it's on. And I wanted to write a time travel story. And I had all these fairy tale characters. And I thought, I wonder if anybody's ever done that kind of thing. So I really enjoyed writing that. I love it also because Cinderella is in it. And Cinderella is sort of a Dr. Laura. She gives advice to people on how to deal with their families on the radio, and I just really enjoyed writing about her and her husband. So, yeah, number 5's my favorite one. Yeah. All right.
Of the 2 N.E.R.D.S books that you wrote, which one was your favorite?
Which one's the most expensive to buy? That would be the new one, number 2. You know what? I haven't. I'm not sure I've had enough distance from them yet to actually pick the one that I love the best. I am writing the third one right now. It's about Weezer, and I said it's kind of a mixture of Bring It On, the cheerleading movie, Fringe, that show on Fox where they go to alternate realities, and Silence of the Lambs, and it's for the middle grade, 8 to 12-year-olds. I'm sorry. Somebody should punch me in the face, really. Okay. Did you have another question? No. Okay. All right. Thank you. You're a very good-looking kid. All right. Yes, sir.
Where did the ideas for the scenes in the book come from?
I'm sorry. What was the question?
Where did the ideas from the scenes in the book come from?
Where do my ideas come from and the scenes in the book? Well, I sort of see the book almost like it's a movie, and I really almost just kind of transcribe what I'm seeing in my head. The way I visualize it is very much like what you might see if you went to see a movie. I do this terrible thing. My wife gets this horrible magazine called Us Weekly, and what I do is stars, they're just like us, and except they're not. So what I do is I cast the book sometimes. And so, like, if I'm going to write about Prince Charming, I'll try to find a picture of, like, Hugh Grant, who I often think of Prince Charming. And I cut it out and I put it up on the wall. And then, I always think of Kate Beckinsale as Snow White because she's so hot. And did I say that out loud? So I put pictures of her up there. And then when the police come, I go straight to jail. But that helps me sort of cast the book, and it helps me visualize it. And that's kind of how I do it. Yeah. Thank you. Yes?
Okay. How much research did you have to do before writing the Sisters Grimm?
Well, when I had to do a lot of research, I was under the impression that I actually knew something about fairy tales because I had seen all the movies. I was wrong. When I was growing up, we got most of our fairy tale stories from Disney, and a very good example is this movie they made called Pinocchio. Most of us have seen that movie. It's really cute. He's got that little dancing cricket, and the cricket gives him advice. But in the book, which is very different than the movie, Pinocchio kills the cricket on page 5 with a hammer. And a friend of mine made me read this, and I was like, that can't be true. That can't be true. And I started to realize that there was a lot going on in fairy tales, especially the stories that I didn't know anything about. And so I had to do a lot of reading and writing at the same time. And in the process, I became a huge fan of fairy tales. Yeah. Okay. Alrighty.
Hi, can you tell us about Snow White's story before it had been changed? About the character in the margins?
You are totally ruining this for everyone.
Will it be in a future book?
Well, all right, I'll just tell you. I don't care. I already got my advance spent. In the Sisters Grimm, there's a Snow White is caught up in a story that she doesn't even know she's in. In fact, one of the ideas is that Snow White's mother, the Wicked Queen, rewrote the story of her life, taking out a very, very bad person out of her life that she had been forced to marry, and literally creating Prince Charming out of nothing to be the husband that she wanted for him. So what you're going to find out in the very last Sisters Grimm book is that it's terrible. But I'm writing this other thing called N.E.R.D.S, and it's just really great. But you're going to find out about Prince Charming's brother, who is the very bad guy. His name is Prince Atticus, and isn't that a scary name? And you're going to find out how this all works together, and we're going to allow Snow White to sort of get a hold of herself for the first time in the series. So I really love writing about her. She's a really strong female character. She reminds me a lot of my grandma, and except for the kung fu, and but I do really enjoy her. Yeah. Does that answer the question? Okay, cool.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Mr. Man.
Oh, okay. I was just wondering. You said there would be a last Sisters Grimm, which is just awful, but I was wondering how many books are going to be in the series? Like just how many are there going to be?
Well, there's only going to be 9 in the series, but if you guys keep building it, I think I could milk it for at least 2 or 3 more books. Yes. And it'll be like, what's that book about the cats? And there's like 70,000 cats. Yeah, I'll just do it like that.
If you could have any nerdy superpower, what would it be?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm trying to think of myself when I was a kid. And I don't know if there's a superpower here, but when I was a kid, there was an actor. His name was Joey Lawrence. And Joey Lawrence had a haircut that required a Tupperware bowl. You would put the bowl on his head, and then you would cut around it so that if you hung upside down, you could put a bowl of cereal in your head. And I think that I had that haircut for a very long time. And I think that maybe, or maybe when I was 18 and I had a mullet. Yeah, that was great. Girls loved it. Maybe something with the mullet. Maybe it's like it's like octopus arms, and it comes out and makes you party in the back and business in the front, kind of thing. I'm not sure. How am I doing on time? She's just shaking her head. The 2-minute warning. Oh, okay. So we have 3 minutes. Cool. Okay. Oh, well, maybe I'll just go on forever. Okay, how about you, sir? By the way, you're very good looking. All of you are great looking kids.
How did you come up with what N.E.R.D.S actually stands for?
Well, you know what? I actually had help. My wife is a much smarter person than I am, and she helped me come up with that. In fact, my wife actually helped me coin the phrase "ever after" from the Sisters Grimm. She is like really smart, except for the part where she married me. That was a big misstep, I think. So she kind of worked it out with me, and we finally figured out how to do it. I was trying to do it so that it was geeks, and I could only get as far as like government espionage, and then I didn't know what the next E was. And then I tried dorks, department of, and I couldn't get any further than that. So that one was the one that worked the best. Okay. Yes.
What made you make Sabrina so grumpy in all the Sister Grimm books?
Well, this is a story that I don't want my wife to hear. Sabrina and Daphne, actually Daphne is based on an old girlfriend I had. Her name was Renee Hoff, and Renee was a very happy, very full of energy, and just so super sweet. But she had this older sister who was super grouchy all the time. And they fought like cats and dogs, except if somebody else picked on them, and then they would fight because they were from Jersey. So those two characters are really based on people I really knew. Yeah. And I think we have time for 1 or 2 more. Yeah.
When Puck is first introduced in your books, he's this nasty kid who burps and farts and does all this weird stuff.
Yeah, he's awesome.
But slowly in the Magic and Other Misdemeanors, they get married in the future. And you start seeing Puck like going into puberty because he likes Sabrina. How did you transition from this kid who just lives in the wild and eats slugs for fun to some kid who's actually growing up?
This is a really great question. Thank you. I don't know how to answer it. No, he. Well, Puck is like the great anti-hero of my story. He's sort of the Han Solo of the Sisters Grimm, and he did start out much more despicable, but this is the truth in life, and this is really for the boys. It doesn't matter how terrible you are, how gross you are, how much of a loser you are. You will meet a woman, and she will fix you. All right, guys. I'm sorry, we're out of time. Did you have fun? All right. Thank you so much.
This has been a presentation of the Library of Congress. Visit us at loc.gov.